Hi and welcome to the Kobold2D introduction video. I'm Steffen Itterheim. I'm the author of the Learn iPhone and iPad Kobold2D game development book published by Apress. And I just recently finished chapter 16 on Kobold2D, which will be in the second edition of the book coming in July or August, depending on certain circumstances. Um, in this video, I wanted to show you what Kobold2D really is. I have this dummy coming soon website online, which basically sums up the rough parts, the higher level. And this time I wanted to show you actually Kobold2D, how it actually works. I have here this Xcode 4 workspace, which includes several projects, and one of the projects, let's try Kobold2D template Mac. Let's try this one and start the Mac version of the Kobold2D template, which brings up a new window with some text, a sprite, an animation, and a sound, and that's it. It's just your regular, well, Kobold2D Hello World template. And the cool thing is I can just switch over to building the iPhone version of the exact same code and run it, and it will start the simulator, and the same thing will play in the simulator. Fine. It's almost exactly the same code because some parts are of course platform specific, but if you have platform specific code like object AL in this case, you can just if-def it with defines or macros like KK platform iOS and KK platform Mac. I decided to use more readable macros here because the usual is, I think, iPhone version max allowed, and that isn't really speaking to me as a developer, and I'm sure you can appreciate the changes here. You can also check if the platform is iOS, iPad, iMac, Mac in general. Also in this workspace, you'll find a Kobold3D template, which is based on the official Xcode template by Kobold3D. You'll see if you have played around with it, it's basically the same code. I added some actions. You can mix in 2D and 3D scenes, of course, and I've added this capability in this example. Let's try it. I have the Kobold3D sample selected, play it, and it runs in the simulator, and we'll see some results. Yep. Of course, there's one final thing which I added, which is more experimental, but I found it neat to give you the ability to check out Kobold2D X, which is basically the C++ version of Kobold2D. And it looks a bit different if you have a look in the code. Let's play it. And you get the Kobold2DX example, which you can close. I don't know why, but you can. So let's stop all this. Let's have a look at one other thing that I find important in Kobold2D, which is the configuration file. Instead of, you'll notice that the app delegate is essentially empty for most projects, and so is the root view controller. So the basic code, the default code, has already been integrated into Kobold2D, and you can just tweak it and via a settings file called config.lua. Now config.lua is obviously a Lua scripting file, and it defines a table which it returns back to the engine, and it has this KK startup config section where you can define all the parameters you might want to tweak during startup of the application. So first scene class name is just you can enter any class name of a CC scene derived class, and it'll load that scene, and you don't have to enter any other code. It'll just load this scene. You can of course overwrite this if you want to. You can set the directors, max frame rate, display, FPS, and etc. etc. You can also set the different render settings if you need to. You can enable the 2D projection or retina display support, which is already enabled here. You can also define which type of auto rotation you want. and which orientation the game should start in, or the app. You also get iAd already integrated, so you only have to enable the ad banner and it'll show the ads. And for macOS, you can of course set some parameters for the system as well. In this case, don't be scared. That's just me putting the window on the second screen, my secondary screen, so you can actually see the window coming up. And you can also define your own sections of code, or Lua tables in this case, with parameters. And you'll notice that those parameters here, hello world string, hello world font name, hello world font size, they're actually properties of a class, in this case the hello world scene class. The only difference is that the properties start with a lowercase letter. In Lua they start with an uppercase letter. And if you want to load those parameters from the config Lua into the class, all you need to do is write one line of code, which says inject properties from key path hello world settings, which is this Lua table, and the target is self. So what it does is it checks, is there a property called hello world string? Is it of type string? If so, I'll just assign hello Kobold2D to this property, and so on for each property. If a property can't be found, it'll just log an error in the console. So you can easily configure your classes with Lua script files, Lua tables, and don't have to do this in code or in awkwardly editable plist files, which, well, they have a graphical user interface, but what you can do in Lua script files is they are easily edited even by, well, non-programmers, and you can comment on those files. You also get very accurate syntax error descriptions in case you do make an error. You see that in the console, and you'll also get the line where the error is. Another addition is, of course, I try to show you how to play sound, in this case with object AL. On Mac you have to do it a little differently, with NS sound in this case, or you could choose any other sound option. Coming to the libraries included in Kobold2D, you'll notice there's a Kobold2D libraries project which includes all the code that is included and distributed with Kobold2D, and most of it are very popular libraries. TouchJSON and FontLabel are of course part of Kobold2D, which is clearly integrated, and the same goes for, wait a second, the actual extensions. Kobold2D iPhone extensions project is here. I have my own extensions, which are essentially categories for some classes which add some more code. You have of course Wax, which provides runtime scripting with Lua. Kokostension is also separately available as a library, because there's an alternative which I like for the iOS specifically. That's Object AL. Object AL is unfortunately only available for the iOS. Kokostension is available for iOS and macOS. Then of course Box2D, Chipmunk, and you also get the Chipmunk Space Manager already included. Then we have Kobold3D, of course the Kobold2D iPhone extensions project, and Sneaky Input is there, and Kobold2D finally. Now you also have build settings, which essentially bring all those libraries together to a common standard. Those are managed by Kobold2D. You don't have to worry about this that much, but each project comes with its own build settings, because there are some project level settings that you have to or might need to modify. In this case, some libraries need to be force loaded into the executable to avoid runtime errors, and you also get libisimulate, which is the library used by the iSimulate app, which you can also or which you would have to buy from the App Store, but you can just start using it in Kobold2D instead of going through the hassle of adding the library to your project, configuring your build settings, etc., etc. You'll also notice that if you go into build settings, there are, just increase the window size, there is no build setting which is deviates from the standards. Everything is done with those build setting files. You can still, of course, change those build settings if you want to. Like, for example, let's say you don't want strict selector matching, you just disable it, and that's okay. The cool part here is that once you do that and you have some problem which is related to build settings and you don't know why, you can check your build settings in this column and see if there's any build setting that's filled in actually, and that's one build setting which deviates from the default and is a good candidate for causing some issues, or you might want to reset back to the default in case you run into troubles, because I noticed that a lot of developers start having issues. They go into build settings, they tweak the build settings, change things here and there depending on, looks like it could be related to some kind of issue they're having, and well, they just end up making things worse, or end up running into other problems once they fix their initial problem, and sometimes even much later on. So you have the control of what is actually deviating from the default, and maybe that helps you remember why you actually changed that setting. I think the defaults are pretty reasonable set. If you want to, you can also, of course, change them in the xcconfig file. I think for an overview, that should be about it. Again, I wrote this extra chapter for the second edition, which includes a description of Kobold2D. In this example here, I'll show you how it looks like if you actually have the augmented reality kind of thing enabled. I mean, the camera view as a background, and you just hold your iPhone and see what the camera sees in the background, which is pretty cool if you can render some stuff over it, although it's a bit slow. Other than that, that should be it, and I hope you're looking forward to Kobold2D, which will be coming in also July, August. I'm aiming to release it closely to the release of the book, and maybe I'll sneak in a early, more or less semi-private beta version in the Kobold2D Central forum, which is at the address kobold2d-central.com. And you should also check out my homepage, www.learn-kobold2d.com, and follow me on Twitter if you want to. My tag is @gaminghorror. That should be it, and once I have more project templates, I'll probably do another screencast and show you what those templates do. Thanks for watching.